Now, you've mentioned natural disasters. Senator Grogan mentioned natural disasters. It's a very crucial topic, and as Senator McAllister, the Minister, is very, very well aware, crucial. We have been talking about the need for a public safety mobile broadband network for around 9 years. The Coalition provided funding for it. This government has continued funding for it. There is a task force working on it. My understanding, when I get briefings on it, is one of the roadblocks is there is no single-use technology yet. Will this universal outdoor mobile obligation negate the need for a public safety mobile broadband network, given you are saying that it will play an important role in natural disasters, and yet there is no single-use technology available?
I'll ask Ms Lorenz to speak to that. Yeah.
Thanks, Senator. Can I just clarify that LEOs aren't intended, so LEOsats aren't intended to replace existing technology, including mobile infrastructure. It's supplementing it.
Yes.
It is also supplementing the other initiatives that are underway to strengthen Australia's capacity to communicate in times of disaster and emergency, and more broadly.
So can I also understand, as a regional customer, and who will bear the cost? It's uncosted. You say you'll partner with industry. You don't know what the incentives to industry will look like, whether it will be a financial incentive or in-kind or like incentive. As a regional customer who is more likely to be dependent on LEOsats or LEOsat facilitated communications than someone who lives in Sydney with a 5G antenna on every street corner, am I going to be paying more for the privilege of that service in the regions because there'll be an extra cost every time you connect to a satellite? I mean, this is the sort of questions that people out there will be asking that I don't. From your answers today, I'm getting the feeling that there's no work been done on that yet.
So, Senator, that is part. So, firstly, as Mr Chisholm said, this is part of a broader review of the universal service obligations. There are two discussion papers which are up on our website. One is looking at the financing arrangements that sit around USO reform, and looking at the mobile element. We're looking at those structures more broadly, flagging that the government is willing to incentivise where necessary and having some runway between now and when this will come into effect. It is about working with industry. Industry currently covers a lot of the costs for the commercial benefit, I guess, commercial interaction. This is about understanding if there are barriers to entry, going to Senator Hanson-Young's point about having a market that involves more than one player, and then being able to address those barriers. So it's first understanding what the barriers to entry are, and there is already funding that is dedicated to universal service obligations. It's about whether we are structuring that in the way that meets the needs of people.
And we keep hearing that there are more than one players. We've all heard about Starlink. Can you give me the names of other potential players? The name of one other LEOsat provider that might or might not participate?
So we're monitoring the market closely, Senator. There are competitors, including Link, L-Y-N-K. It has an agreement with TPG and other companies such as AST Space Mobile, and they've trialled D2D capability. I referenced earlier Amazon's Kuiper project, which is in development now as well. But I'll ask the team if they wish to speak further on that.
Mr Chisholm, I think that you've covered all the main players. Obviously, there's Apple iPhone uses Globalstar LeoSat constellations to make emergency SMS. So there definitely are alternative players emerging in the market.
We expect to continue to see more of that, given just how successful the technology has been. Starlink is obviously at the forefront of the market at this time, but the market is developing really quickly, and I expect to see more of that over time.
Which does beg the question. Telstra have made an announcement that they're trialling this sort of technology, as has Optus. So why is the government intervening in what the market is doing anyway?
We want to see an orderly transition of this technology to support consumers and as part of the Universal Services reform framework. I mean, this is about as critical to the role of government in telecommunications as you can get. The Commonwealth is responsible for communications. For the Commonwealth to just sit back and allow all this to happen without clear signals, regulation, commitments to work with industry, I anticipate we would see very messy transitions taking place, and we would also see likely a single player dominate the market. That is why we want a strong policy framework in place to encourage the new entrants, the competition, the market development, and a focus on keeping it in the context of universal services.
So you want to prevent a single player?
Last question, Senator.
We want to see a strong market develop.
So last question. We saw with the closure of 3G, people all around the country having to upgrade their devices. Will that be the case? And particularly if I've got an Apple which uses Globalstar, but the LeoSats might not be Globalstar, or are people going to be obliged to upgrade to access this universal mobiles, or is it going to be streamlined? Because, again, the concern is what the cost will be to the end consumer, and you've not been able to enunciate that at all. If Telstra and Optus are forced down this path, will they pass on the cost to their consumers, and will consumers have to go out and buy new phones?
So it is really important, as you say, Senator, for people to know which devices are able to access D2D services. So we will work closely with ACMA to ensure there's clear information on that. We're also,
but the answer is potentially.
We're also involved in funding device testing processes, and that is work that ACMA is involved in to get a better sense of the device capability. But over time, as mobile phones continue to be developed and roll out, we're going to see greater use of this technology. So. But yes, as with 3G, and I might add, 3G was, when we commenced that process, well, certainly when Minister Rowland inherited responsibility for that process, there was not an orderly transition process in place. New regulations have been put in place to mandate 000 compliance for mobile phones. A device testing regime has been put in place to work with industry and with manufacturers, because we want to see.
Senator, we're going to rotate you.
Because we want to see that orderly transition
answer is
happen. Hence, that's the same with these technologies, which is that government has a critical role to play.
Which actually makes the case for the framework that's been announced. We actually do need a measure of coordination across all of the elements of the supply chain in the context of the universal service obligation.
Thank you.
If it was